Welcome to White Rabbit Podcast with Catalyst Jones, where your reality might be challenged. So leave your feelings at the fucking door and let's dive down some rabbit holes.
Liberal advisory. Truthful content.
There are children being ritualistically sodomized by deep state operatives of reptilian descent.
Reptilian? You mean like lizard people?
That's right.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
If you want to stop me, you're gonna have to fucking kill me!
Please welcome Catalyst Jones. How are you, brother?
Dude, you must have been down the rabbit hole as long as I have.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this.
Eventually, you get to the juice box people.
It's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file.
We choose to go to the moon.
That was a joke about the world being flat, right? Wasn't it?
Excuse me. Has anybody seen a white rabbit?
And welcome, fellow truthers and conspiracy junkies, to another episode of White Rabbit. I am your host, Catalyst Jones. Today is going to be crazy because I have on the man himself, Mr. Maverick Approach, and I've got some questions about this whole Kirk thing, in particular, Erica Kirk, and you are the man to do it. So before we jump into that, brother, how have you been? And why don't you let everybody know who you are that's listening on my end?
Yeah, so Maverick Approach. I'm a very thought-provoking content creator, if you will. They call me the coincidence specialist, so that's what I do. I would connect the dots for people and then also educate people on this new system that we're going into. A lot of crazy things, so I just kind of be a guiding light to what's happening out there. And yeah, happy to be on the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, you're one of those people that are able to connect the dots, and you do it so well, and you provide really digestible content that I think is good for the normies. You know, like the stuff that I put out is more geared towards the black belt people, but we need people out there like you that are still planting the seeds, but you're also like bringing stuff to the table that even black belt people like me are like, oh, wow, I didn't look at it from that angle. You know, like you got your finger on the pulse pretty good. And I'm glad to have you here, brother.
Yeah, thank you. So, appreciate it. Excited.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, I've known you for a while now, and it's been awesome watching you blossom into what you've become. You know, I think when the New York Times or New York Post or somebody did a hit piece on you or something.
Yeah.
Was it Fox?
No, that was New York Post, and that was also Forbes. It was Yahoo. It was like 50 outlets, MSN, like they all did like this whole hit piece on me talking about I'm a conspiracy theorist, talking about Kamala. They actually did a couple of pieces on me. So it's pretty interesting. You know, that was last summer, I believe, when it was election time. So yeah, it's been a journey.
That's great, man. And no matter how bad they think that they're smearing you, they did nothing but help you out. So that's awesome. And wear that as a proud
badge. Daily
man.
Mail too. Daily Mail actually, they didn't like do a hit piece, but they also did a piece on my Mountain Dew theory. So they did a lot of that too. They just posted that not so long ago too.
That's great, man. That's good exposure. All the exposure possible, you know? So have you got any feedback on your Erica post? Because I've been talking about, obviously this is White Rabbit. So we've been going down all the theories of what could have possibly happened during the quote unquote assassination, rituals, whatever might be. We've dug down those rabbit holes. But what's come up a few times is who in the heck is Erica? Because her past, it seems like it was kind of an arranged marriage, as if maybe she was his handler. And I haven't really dug that deep into it. Obviously, there's so much going on, and to just focus on one thing and unpack it, you were able to do that. And you put together a really cool video. And I was hoping maybe you can shed some light on that for us.
Yeah, man. This whole thing with Charlie Kirk, man, it's so interesting. It's very layered. There's a lot of weird things that you just can't ignore. Okay. So we all know the backstory. I mean, if you don't, I'll give you a quick rundown. So Charlie, he was at his first stop on his tour and he gets shot. And, people were trying to figure out why, what happened, how did this even, become a thing? And people start digging. So we look into this kid, Tyler Robinson, and off the rip, like his whole backstory of what they're telling us versus what's really behind the curtain is completely off. I don't understand how a kid, 22 years old, can get one shot off like an expert sniper with a lazy eye. That's one. Okay. Two, it's pretty odd that he went to a school, Utah State University, for one semester. Okay. He had a scholarship, in which we saw in that video he was reading a scholarship letter. Goes to a school, has one semester there, then drops out. Now, what's at this school? This school actually has a program called CAI. It's called the Central Anticipatory Intelligence, which sounds similar to CIA. Now, who's behind it? It's actual directorate that used to work for the CIA. So you mean to tell me this kid went to a school who had a scholarship, 4.0 GPA, smart kid, goes there for one semester, then drops out and goes dark, then comes back and shoots Charlie Kirk? Sounds like he got recruited. Pretty plausible,
Yeah, it's
right?
exactly what it's very plausible. I was listening to who was it? John C. Dvorak and Adam Curry have a show called No Agenda, and they break down the news. And dang it, what did you just say, bro? I'm sorry, I just had a brain fart where I was going with that.
No,
But
yeah, I know what you're talking about, but yeah, that's the thing. It's so many layers to it, and it's like so many like moving pieces to it, so it's hard to keep up. And I think that's the whole idea. And then just going into Erica herself. Now, let me ask you a question. Does she seem like a very distraught widow right now? Yes or no?
No, not at all.
Isn't that strange that not even 2 weeks later, or barely 2 weeks later, that she's on his podcast smiling and all this other stuff? And it's just, everything's moving really fast. It's like you just lost your husband tragically on an open forum, JFK style, and you're on a podcast 2 weeks later?
Laughing?
That's pretty odd.
Laughing.
Now, here's the thing about her, and everybody has their suspicions, so I did some digging. And there's a ton of stuff with her. So for one, did you hear about her parents and who they are?
Yeah, let's dive into that, bro, because I think that's very interesting. There's so many interesting things from her past before her and Charlie even got together, and I was hoping we can uncover some of those right here.
Yeah. So going into her past, who is she? Who is Erica Kirk? For one, she was a pageant girl, right? She was Miss Arizona in a pageant that, Trump owned. So she knew Trump.
Pageant.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So that it's pretty interesting that she knew Trump way before Charlie. We'll put a pin in that. But then even before that, she was in a few other things. So for one, she was in a reality show called Summer House in 2018. It was a dating show, and she was on there. And then a couple weeks later, she happens to get with Charlie Kirk, was supposed to be an interview. She was set up on an interview that turned into a date, and then that's how they met and then got married. So we got to ask the question, who set that whole thing up?
It was Trump, like wasn't it?
I mean, there's speculation. I mean, it could have been, but that's the thing. It was speculation that this was all set up from the beginning, saying that, hey, this interview, you're going to like this girl. And then oh yeah, she probably did some flirting. That was probably his dream girl. He's from Arizona. You got to put two and two together. Like, if a woman starts hitting on you, she's good looking and whatnot. She's Miss Arizona. 9 times out of 10, a girl starts hitting on you like that. You're like, oh, well, yeah, let's have a date and turn it into a whole thing. That's very easy, right? She can be sent. But then going even backwards, even forward, like I think this is like 2006 or 7. She did a music video called She's My Kind of Crazy, which is interesting title. But it was a Canadian country artist. She did it in Las Vegas. And mind you, when she did this, she was the main girl and whatnot. There's a very interesting scene, and this is where it gets into the esoteric symbolism part. She does a zip line. She's in Vegas. There's a zip line on Fremont Street. There's a zip line that is a scene that she's doing, and then she crosses by 910, which is pretty interesting. It was very intentional, and it shows 910, and that's the date that Charlie died. Now, you can say that's coincidence and everything else, but here's the thing. Somebody said snake eyes.
Yes.
I know you saw that.
Yes.
So again, is this planned? Is this predictive programming? However, what aside you want to say, this is how they operate, right? So in 1998, there's a movie called Snake Eyes with Nicolas Cage, and it depicts everything to a T. A guy gets shot in the neck. His name is Charles Kirkland. The boxer in the ring, his name was Tyler the Executioner, which is the same name as the guy that killed Charlie Kirk, allegedly, right? So somebody said 1010 is National Mental Health Awareness Day also. I saw the 1010 was in the video as well. But again, there's a lot of little symbols. The guy who got shot in the movie, there was a girl who was a blonde in a white satin suit. What did Erica wear during the memorial? A white satin suit. She's a blonde. What are the chances that all this stuff adds up?
And not only that, we have the Masonic rings that is godly exposed, which I don't think that she would be wearing that unless it was a nod in a direction somewhere. Because what else is the purpose of wearing? How many females do you know that wear Masonic rings?
Well, none, because I find that pretty interesting too, because it's almost like she's taking his place because they moved really fast. They said that she's a CEO and chairman now, which is weird. And then usually female Masons are Eastern Stars. So is she an Eastern Star? I don't know. We would probably never find that out. But her giving that nod to having those rings, even in that scene, you can see the guy filming over the casket. There's a reflection in the casket and you can see him doing that. That's really disingenuous. I thought it was weird. I don't know how everybody else feels. Why would you
what
film
keeps coming up on my show? Yeah. Why would you film that? That's almost as bad as the girls that have mental breakdowns and film themselves crying and put it online,
Yeah. You got to think about the whole setup, right? You got to set up the camera and the lighting, and then you start crying, and that's very weird.
It doesn't make any sense why you would want that unless it's just to feed the energy pool from people, right? To keep their eyes focused, keep them focused on this. But what keeps being brought up by some of my guests is the fact that his hands didn't even look like hands. They look like Halloween store costume bought hands.
Right. So it looks like, I don't know what that's about. And what's even more odd is that how fast everything moved. And they're saying in the autopsy, they said that, the bullet, they were saying that he was the man of steel and the bullet didn't go through, and it was fragmented, which I thought was weird because when they saw Tyler in that Dairy Queen, not too far from, where the whole incident happened, there was a Man of Steel poster behind him. Okay, so they're calling him the Man of Steel because the bullet didn't go through, which that's bullshit. It did. He actually got hit from the back.
And then, right.
And
if you want to get esoteric with it too, on
9/11,
what was the big whole thing about 9/11 was the steel beams, right?
Oh yeah,
couldn't
because jet
possibly
fuel
burn.
doesn't burn steel. Just FYI, if everybody knows that, like one-on-one physics, jet fuel does not burn steel. So
Right. So
that.
there's another esoteric nod, right? Because we were taking out the energy pool of one psyop and replacing it with the energy pool of another psyop. Happen to be one day apart from each other. You throw that steel in there as a little nod as well. And what are they doing? They're stealing our energy. Shout out to Human Vibration for pointing that out to me.
Yep, exactly. And then get this too. So that was the day before 9/11, right? And that was like, like how you said that connection. But also, isn't it weird that he had the same birthday, Charlie Kirk, as George Floyd? So one psyop from another, because BLM and all that shit, that was a psyop. That was energy harvesting. People were hung up on black, white, not knowing that this is one big energy harvesting festival. Okay. So like from one pendulum to the next, this is the same thing. Okay. People have to remember, he wasn't a politician, not yet. He was an activist and a content creator. So for them to shoot him on a public stage, they were sending a message. Okay. And not only that, but he would have been eligible to be running for president for the next election because he was turning 32 in October. You have to be 35 to run for POTUS. So that was another thing. Maybe the tide was turning.
And another thing that is obviously thrown out there that we can't dismiss as well is not the fact, but it's being talked about. And I don't know how much pushback towards Israel he was giving, but it seems like that seems to be the only one to gain out of this. And if he was starting to criticize Israel, they can definitely not have that if he's going to be running for president in 28.
Right. And that's the thing. Like a lot of people are questioning Trump right now. What's his position with that whole situation? And then, if we have another person running for POTUS who isn't in line with them, maybe he's a problem, So you have to put all the cards on the table for that. And I find it pretty interesting too, that there's a picture of where he has 347 hats at the scene. So if you have 7 + 4, 11. It's 11 times 3, 33. Same thing. 9/11 was a 33-year cycle because it all started in 1968. Like, so you put the parallels of how 9/11 actually happened, it started in 1968. And then 33 years later is 2001. So 1968, you have the construction of the World Trade Center that started in 1968. You have the New York Jets that started that won the Super Bowl in 1968. Space Odyssey, 2001. In 2001, the name of that movie, 2001, that came out in 1968. Okay. Then
I did not know this stuff.
Yes. In 1968 as well, the 911 code, the emergency call that we call today, that was created in 1968. The very first call in 1968.
What?
Yes. So all this stuff, Bush, who was president at the time, he graduates Yale in 1968.
So what happened 33 years before 68? What would that have been?
Yeah, I don't know how,
20, 25?
That would probably, that would be, what happened then? That's a great question. Let's see. 1968 and then 1935. I'll have to look into that for sure. Something probably happened, but it's a 33-year cycle.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So they replaced that psyop, and man, and they sprinkled in so many things between 68 and 2001. We go back and look at all of the predictive programming that they fed to us that had to do with 9/11. I wonder if we can start going back and doing that right now and being able to see predictive programming for Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. I mean, again, the movie Snake Eyes. There was another movie that came out on the day he died called Tempest on Hulu. And it was about a politician who also gets shot in the neck. Same day he dies.
And well, speaking of necks too, and you brought up the whole Black Lives Matter movement. That was a wound to the neck. He was being
To the
knelt
neck.
down on his neck. And
Exactly.
then we had that other side. Well, I don't know. That's to be decided. I don't know how you feel about the whole train thing where the guy sliced the girl's neck.
That was a
Also
neck
had to
thing
do with
too.
the neck.
Yeah. So you
Correct.
have 3 energy harvesting instances that all have to do with neck injuries. What are the chances? All this is orchestrated, you guys. Nothing is what it seems. This is why I always say, like, you have to look further than just what it is, because the Smith-Month Act, which is still alive and well today, is where the government can legally screw with our brains and do any kind of propaganda piece for their benefit legally. And you could thank Obama for that. So, because before it was illegal,
Yeah,
but now it's not.
you could thank Obama for that, and 5 years from now, when you're not able to drive to work because your car won't start because of your social credit score, you can thank Trump for that.
Ooh.
You
You
hear
want to
about
go
this,
there?
man?
Yeah.
Well,
It
yeah,
gets getting
I do
crazy,
kind of
man.
want to go there, because how is this going to affect people that have been investing in crypto, right? Like, is that going to be worthless unless we start our own black markets? And if they have this tracking service or situation, they're going to know where we are at all times, depending on how they decide that they're going to give this to us, because I damn sure ain't getting anything injected into me.
No, not at all. And that's what 2020 was all about. It was about the vaccine and nothing else. So, but with cryptocurrency and the digital ID and whatnot, this is why I educate people on cryptocurrency, because they can't control it. They can only participate. And this is why they're trying to create their own chains, their own currencies, because what's out there now, these protocols, they're global. They cannot be stopped. But they're going to try to trick bag you guys and taking in their crypto or their blockchains and saying, hey, this is the only way to interact with what, if you want to buy some food or get some gas or whatever the case may be, you have to get this instead of that. So this is why education is so, this is why I have Jet Set Studios, you guys. I have my own token, Jet Set token. I'm creating my own ecosystem because I see what's coming, you guys. And this is what's happening right now, even with Oracle. So Mr. Larry Ellis, like, he owns TikTok now. So that's a huge component to where people's identities, their information, all that stuff now, they own it. And then he was just at a conference talking about how important digital IDs are. Now, if nobody's hip to, what digital IDs are or what's going on with that, this is already happening in China. There's a social credit score right now to where if you're blacklisted, you cannot get food. You can't go on a fucking train. You can't do anything because you're blacklisted and your face is posted on a screen like Hunger Games. This is happening right now.
It's straight Black Mirror. It's straight Black Mirror stuff.
Yeah. And it seems so far-fetched until it actually happens. So now they're talking about this digital ID and all this other stuff. So I'm opting out. Everybody else should opt out of that as well and find alternatives.
Yeah, 100%. And they're doing it all across the world. And when they do that type of a thing, and it's a throw out all across this flat plane, then you gotta ask yourself, like, why? When they roll out something this big, it's big, and there's probably nefarious reasons behind it. I mean, I know you have, and I have been shouting the top of our roof to anybody that could hear passing by about this as soon as the vaccine started rolling out. Like, that any conspiracy realist saw that as, oh, here comes the digital IDs, here comes digital passports, here, like, and unfortunately, Trump was able to reel in a lot of conspiracy theorists through his MAGA movement and combine like Pizzagate and Q and get all these people on board. And so they pulled in a lot of people, but I think that backfired on him, because in doing so, we red pilled a lot of Republicans. And now that movement isn't just your normal, like, white collar or blue collar Republican that watches Fox News. Like, these people are actually critical thinkers now because of weirdos like us.
Yeah, exactly. And we're turning the tide, and we have to, you know, like your sign says back there, question everything and everybody. I don't care if you're red or blue, because it's all the same bird on like, it doesn't matter. Two wings on the same bird, you guys, because they trick bagged us into thinking that there's certain sides, there's good and bad. They're psyoping everybody. Okay. And we have to question, I don't care who you are, or I don't know if you're Trump or whatever, question everybody, because they all have agendas, right? But you just have to get in where you fit in and figure out, okay, what side or what agenda are they trying to, you know, push, and then find a nice, you know, middle in between that, because somewhere in between all the bullshit, the truth lies, right? I think there's layers. Go ahead.
I was going to say that's the problem, is it is within the center. And I just recently had on Sean Chris from Kill the Mockingbirds, and he was talking about years ago, but he brought it back up because he was like, I'm right. When you had all these people on the right, and I'm not guilty of this. I was doing it too, but you're sitting there and you're noticing all these crazy things that's going on the left, and it was just so far out. And Sean Chris was like, bro, that's the pendulum swinging at its furthest on the left right now. He said it's just going to swing all the way back to the right, and it's going to be the complete opposite. So we're going to go from complete craziness to complete and total police state.
Yeah, and that's the dangerous part. I think that we have to stay focused, because here's the thing. I think a lot of these things accomplish multiple things at one time, right? So like when you go from George Floyd all the way to Charlie Kirk, these things are accomplishing multiple things, because not only they're getting rid of certain things or pushing a narrative, but also they're distractions at the same time. Because while everybody's talking about, you know, trans, left, right, blue, this, what's happening right now is what we just talked about, is probably the most important thing with the digital ID and the police state. Because once that's implemented, all bets are off. Like, how do you opt out from like getting food or transportation? Or this is why I don't like electric cars. I think those are traps. I think
absolutely.
Dude, I got in like a Cybertruck not too long ago, and I was like, this feels fucking weird, and I don't like it at all. This doesn't even feel like an actual car. Like, this shit is in like control. If it wanted to lock up and drive me into a river or like take me somewhere, it could. Like that. So I don't trust it. I don't like electric cars. I'm good. I'd rather just keep gas.
I think they showed us that. I think they showed us that as something that's coming as a part of predictive programming in that Obama movie that they had on Netflix. Like, was it 2 years ago or so?
Yeah.
And it had all those white Teslas that were just piling up against each other.
Yep. And isn't it funny that that movie that Obama produced, everything in the movie the next year happened? Is that a coincidence? The Teslas, I don't know, man, but you had the Teslas, the planes falling out the sky. You had that cargo ship, like the Francis Scott Key Bridge. All this shit happens in the movie, and then it happens in real life. Interesting.
Right. It isn't that interesting when you're connecting the dots already. And that's why I really want to go back and start paying attention. And I hope that there's a bunch of people that have already started doing this to see if there is any predictive programming that has to do with the Charlie Kirk assassination, because I'm almost gotten to the point where I don't think that Charlie Kirk was Charlie Kirk. I really think that we just saw a character. And I mean, I hate to say that the world is a stage, because it's so like, everybody says that shit and it's just like, yeah, whatever, the world is a stage, and it is to a point. But I mean, they're going through the craziness of the theatrics. We have so many different theories on this that actually hold water, you know, between the microphone, between the guy with the push thing. There's so many different angles to look at this with the AI, and they put so much effort and thought into this one in particular psyop. The only thing that doesn't make any sense is the official narrative. And I've said that like 4 times now, but it's like crazy to me that anybody could believe that to this point.
Yeah, and you have all these things, like you said, like you laid out all the cards on the table. And if you're still saying, well, I trust the government, or I trust what they're saying, or I trust, it is what it is. This kid who went to a roof, changed clothes, disassembled the rifle after the shot, changed clothes again, jumps off the roof, then puts it back together and then throws it in a bush. Yeah, that sounds pretty plausible, right?
Oh, and another thing, Maverick, that we actually totally skipped over when you were talking about 33 is when Kash Patel stood up there and said, we apprehended him 33 hours to be exact.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Here's a telltale sign. If you're still a skeptic, here's the thing. This is going to change your mind. So there's a picture of Tyler Robinson in his bedroom or his dorm room. Now on his screensaver, there's an island, right?
Valhalla.
Now, there you go.
Sorry.
So
spoiler
the
alert.
screensaver is an island of New Zealand. Now, that particular island, Goat Island, there's a summer house retreat called Valhalla. Now, what did Kash Patel say at the conference? Rest easy, brother. I'll see you in Valhalla. They're telling you exactly who did it.
Yes.
They're behind it.
And 100% too, you're not going to tell a Christian that you're going to see him in the pagan afterlife, right?
What sense does that make?
None whatsoever. And I love how you got Bondi out there saying, pushing towards censoring hate speech, which is a term completely made up, is about as fabricated as assault weapon. But she's attacking freedom of speech right now. And that is the last thing that Charlie Kirk his character would have wanted to come from his assassination.
How is there such thing as freedom of speech and hate speech in the same breath?
Well,
that's a paradox.
Can we get a definition of hate speech? Is hate speech just something that somebody else doesn't like? Like if I criticize somebody's shoes, is that hate speech?
No, it's just your preference. That's freedom of speech.
Okay,
literally, that's the definition of freedom of speech. So you're saying that we can't say certain things because they're going to hurt somebody's feelings, but you still have freedom of speech. So which one is it? Because that's completely opposite of what freedom of speech is and then what hate speech is. So people can hate whatever they want. It's the freedom of speech. As long as you're not hurting anybody and as long as you're not, physically harming somebody and whatnot, I can say whatever the fuck I want. That's what the Constitution says, right? Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. Okay, cool. I can say whatever I want.
Yes, you can. And I don't think that yelling fire excludes that either. But what I will say is we've seen a lot of people, especially with the aftermath of Jimmy Kimmel losing his job briefly, and people are like, it's an attack on our freedom of speech. No, it's not, because he had the right to say what he wanted to say. He could walk down the street and say that shit all he wants. But if you were working at Roundtable Pizza and somebody walked in and you made an inappropriate joke, Roundtable Pizza doesn't want you working there anymore. So that's just your job, bro. That's like the specifications of the job. Freedom of speech is not being attacked when your place of employment has specific guidelines.
Right. And another thing is too, all that was theater too. Like all that was one big setup, he was never losing his job, you guys. Like, understand, he's a paid op. He wasn't going anywhere. That was to sway the narrative and to position himself in a way to where, because people forget, where he tapes his show, it's in a Masonic theater, you guys, in Hollywood.
Yes.
It's literally in a Masonic. It's all theater. So that's what I'm saying.
His show was fucking tanking. So let's see. What can we do? Oh, I know what we can do. We can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We can add another log on the hatred fire between the left and the right. At the same time, we can take Jimmy Kimmel and martyr him, or at least pretend to. And that way, when we bring him back, his ratings will boost. So then we'll get good ratings and we can stoke that fire.
which happened. So like his show back, they got like a record-breaking 6 million viewers, right? But then after that, his viewership went down like 73%. So
of course, because people were only tuning in to see if he was going to apologize or what he was going to say directly after coming back. It doesn't change the fact that it's a poor system. Like the whole late show thing doesn't work anymore except for boomers. And I think that that's his only viewership left. Anytime I see Jimmy Kimmel, it's because somebody clipped him and threw it on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's all theater. He wasn't going anywhere. They set up that whole thing in up north in where they do that at Sacramento. That's where it was. So it was a station, an ABC affiliate station. When he gets off of air, a station in ABC gets shot up. Surprise, surprise. And then they're like, oh, this is backlash. This has gone too far. Let's put him back on the air. All that was set up.
Of course it was set up. And what does that tell people? That's like a little kid in the store that throws a fit because he can't get what he wants. So then you give him what he wants. What did you just teach people? Oh, okay. If we want shoot up places, then we'll get what we want. What in the frick are you actually telling people?
Exactly. And then and to go even further, just going back to Erica talking about what's set up and what's staged. So I wanted to touch on who her parents were and how all this ties into the government. So I just gave you the background on Erica and who she was before she met Charlie, but also her parents have a very interesting past. So her mom actually works for a lot of tech companies, one of which has ties with the US government, the DOD. So she did a bunch of classified operations in Iraq for the government. And her company, her company specialized.
Erica's mom did.
Yes, this is Erica's mom. Her name is Lori.
Oh, she was totally planted in Charlie's life.
Yeah. So her mom, Lori Francis, if I'm pronouncing it right. That company, it's called E3 Tech Group. And not only that, she worked for, in Iraq for the government and whatnot, but they specialize in EMPs. So you know what an EMP is, right?
The electric impulse thing, like that shuts down
electromagnetic pulse
device
to knock out power. So you specialize in blackouts and prevention of that. That's pretty interesting. So, and then her dad writes a lot of literature for business intelligence and government as well. He's, heavily involved in that on like strategies and whatnot. You can look up his book. It's literally called Business Intelligence. And so her family has an extensive amount of history with the government. Nobody finds that suspicious at all.
Oh, that's super suspicious, bro. And what we also didn't bring up is, and I don't know if there's any validity to this, but there was things going around the internet about how she may or may not have been involved in a company that was in child trafficking.
Yeah, they're saying that Erica, when she was 17, she started a charity, or she's working with a charity called Everyday Heroes Like Us. And basically, she was working in tandem with a Romanian connection to where it had to do with trafficking. But I did find an article that they said that article was alluding to that from 2001, which is an interesting year. Again, there's that 33.
Wow, there you go. Huh?
Yeah. So that was from 2001. So that connection may or may not be true because, back in 2001, she wasn't involved with that. So there could be something with that, because it is pretty interesting that if they had a history like that and she's working with them later, who knows? So I find that interesting too.
I know I only got 5 minutes left with you, brother, and I wanted to touch on this before we jumped out of here. Also, there is reports going around the internet as well. Could be true, could not be true. was Erica one of the girls involved in the lawsuit that got paid out to SA charges or inappropriate things to Trump? Wait, have you not heard this?
I haven't heard that.
Okay, so she was one of the girls, apparently, this is allegedly, that she's one of the girls that accused Trump and got a hefty payoff.
Really?
Okay, yeah, okay, you might want to look into that. I've seen it come up on my timeline a few times, and I did not dive deep into it enough to speak on it with any knowledge. I was hoping maybe you would have some.
So to take it a step further, do you think that she holds some type of maybe blackmail position over Trump? Because that could be it too.
Because it could be, but I really feel that once she was paid off, or I actually don't know if that story holds any water to it at all, because with her background and everything, it seems to me that she was groomed for this role and to do this. And when Charlie Kirk was presented, then it was like, okay, go to work, you know? Your handler is always going to be one of your closest people. And if Charlie was a real person with real good intentions and not just a character, then they would definitely need a handler in his life.
Right, for sure, which I think she was, because all these things, you know, looking now, you know, hindsight is 2020, because if he saw all these things before, who knows if he would have married her or not, right? But now seeing it, you're like, wait a minute, your parents did this and did that. And mind you, another Trump connection, Charlie Kirk, his dad actually worked on Trump Tower as well. His dad was an architect. So
really interesting. So
yeah,
that is interesting. That's like a loose connection. That could be anything, you know, but also it could be something. It's definitely not something that we want to throw the baby out with the bathwater on. Anybody listening to this, if you want to dig into that, I think that there's some gold mines within her family, and let's get involved in that. Like, if any of my listeners want to dive down those rabbit holes, I'd love to hear what you uncover. But we're getting here about ready to wrap up, brother. Is there anything that you wanted to leave us with? And also, what do you got going on in the future here? What's coming up in the Maverick approach?
Well, first, you know, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. It's always a good time with you, and, you know, going down these rabbit holes and figuring out what's really going on, or at least try to question things. I think we should all do that, have some critical thinking, and, you know, not follow what, you know, everybody else is saying. And that's the main thing. Just have some independent thought. But always look into stuff, you guys, because right now we're in the midst of a spiritual war, physical war, all types of wars right now. And I think that when you have your collective and you have a group of people, your tribe, I think that's important to find. And the more people who speak out, we don't know who thinks like what. And so, you know, we have to gather our troops and kind of, you know, galvanize and find each other. So this is why these conversations are important. So always do that. So what I have going on, so yeah, Jet Set Studios, it's a hub for, you know, like-minded people, creators, podcasters. We're gonna do workshops. We're gonna do educational seminars, all types of stuff. Again, Jet Set is my token. I believe that education is important when it comes to financial freedom, finance in general, and technology. People really don't understand cryptocurrency and blockchain as a whole. When they hear that, they think, oh, scam or mark of the beast and all this other stuff. It's important to know what it does and what the protocols do before you judge it. Because newsflash, you guys, if you guys haven't noticed, on the back of your dollar, there's a pyramid with an eye on it. So is that not the mark of the beast already? So we have to opt out of this fiat scam system and really get into something to where it's peer-to-peer and we're dealing with each other and not having the government tell us what to do and what to say. And every left or right turn, we have to answer to them. Okay. So understand that first. So this is why I'm building this, because education is key. So you'll be able to do live streams here, podcasting. We're going to have events, all types of stuff here. So be on the lookout for that. I'll be going live from here a lot. Of course, my podcast. We're going to be doing that from here too. A lot of new shows. Going to be doing some debates and all types of stuff here. So yeah, just stay connected with me for sure.
Definitely will, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out from over there. It looks like you're cultivating something really, really awesome. And I can't wait to see the fruits that harvest. So it's going to be a beautiful thing. And also you were talking about like, you don't really know somebody until you talk to them. Well, if you're shy and you don't like to talk to people, then you can head on over to redpillthreads.com right now. And you can you can become a walking meme just by putting on a shirt that says something that you stand for, and you can walk around basically being a walking meme, and somebody's going to look at you and give you a little head nod, and you can create a conversation. It's definitely conversation starters. So for all of your conspiracy based t-shirts, go to redpillthreads.com, use promo code rabbit, and you will get 10% off. Bro, it's always fun having you on and talking to you. And like I said, I can't wait to see what you produce here in the future. Jet Set is going to be awesome. Heck yeah, man. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and hopefully you learned something about Charlie Kirk, his wife, and some crazy shenanigans. I learned something about 9/11, so here we go. Everybody keep digging down those rabbit holes.